Hello everybody, this is Chris Canton with CC Custom Leatherworks, and today I have a video about hand grips. Many of you know that my Etsy page features 7 or 8 different variations, embossed variations of hand grips, anywhere from alligator to crocodile, python, including the Sheridan Western style, which is the most popular hand grip. I carry them in 2 different sizes, and they appear with 7 or 8 different color variations. What I wanted to do was more easily explain the process of ordering, so that you can understand the terminology and be a little bit more confident that you know what you're getting for your bike. Most Harleys after 2008 will use what they call the electronic sensor type of grips. These grips all look the same. The difference between the sensor grip and the cable grips, well, there are 2 differences. The easiest way to tell on your bike is to check to see whether or not you have a cable running into your grip housing on your throttle grip side, the right side. And if you do, you most likely have the cable grips. And they're usually often were a common feature with your carbureted systems. Harley predominantly went to fuel injected type, and that's what required the use of electronic sensoring to meter out the amount of gasoline to get. And so when you get ready to place your order, you'll see your choice of what I call fly-by-wire, which is the same as electronic sensor. You'll also see the terminology being used, such as throttle-by-wire. But that terminology is what you're going to find when you check your specs on your bike. And so if you happen to have the cable type, you'll also see these 2 openings here where your cable end, which is a lead ball, will fit into. And then you have an opening, a narrow channel, which will carry your cable around the edge of the grip, and this will feed through your bottom of your housing, and it comes out the bottom part. And so when you have this type of setup, your housing consists usually just of 2 screws. So you could take off the top part of the housing, the bottom, fits up against your handlebars, and you slip in that cable with the ball around your housing, and you let it seat into the housing. And the top part of the housing you put down, on the top, and tighten the 2 bolts, and your whole throttle will fit snugly but loose, and it's held in place by that housing, and the grip will be fine as it is. So you want to use the opening to the front of the bike when you hook it up, because you'll pull back and your cable will stretch and be pulled up from the spring from your carburetor, and it'll snap back into place and sit just like this in your housing. I always stitch my grips to where they'll appear at the bottom of your handle grip, so you won't see it that easily. And if you've got electronic grips, it really doesn't matter where I stitch it to. When you place it on your handle grip or on your handlebar, you have a wire coming up through the handlebar with what looks like a little gear with toothed edges, a circle around, that will fit against the end of this grip, which will have serrated edges and so it meshes with that and locks in place. And so, you know, you can twist this any way. If if you don't want to see your stitching, you'll put it onto the handlebar in the manner in which you don't want to see it, and it'll fit right into it'll mesh right in with the serrated edge and lock into place. And that's as simple as that. Then I've got chrome, I've got black, and I've got brushed silver for the coloring of your grips, the outer edges. And you could choose through 6 or 7 different types of embossings. This here I call the herringbone emboss. I've got also crocodile, which I got on this bike right here. And while I'm pointing to this clutch side, the left side, I would like to tell you that they go on with 2 Allen screws. And so when you order my grips, you know, it comes in a box, and you have a little Allen wrench that comes with a spare Allen screw. So you actually have 3 of them, but you only need 2. They only use 2 on your handle. And you attach it to your handlebar and tighten the 2 Allen screws, one on each side of the grip against the handlebar, and go from there. That's as simple as that. However, you do want to use Loctite on these Allen screws, as without Loctite, they're most likely going to come loose due to vibration. You know how these Harleys vibrate, and you know, it's almost a given that will occur. If you use Loctite, it makes all the difference. If you want to put this on with an extra layer of safety, you can use vinyl tape, make 1 or 2 layers around your handlebars, depending on how it feels with the 1 layer. If it's still kind of loose, you could check that. But they'll go on pretty stiffly without using, you don't want to use any lubricants to put them on if you're going to use the layer of vinyl tape. But you could just try to push it on as best you can. If you need to use a rubber mallet, use a thick rag on the end and then just lightly tap with the mallet against it, and it'll go into place. And a few years later, if for some reason you needed to take it off, it's not going to come off very easily at all. I knew that from my experience, but I tell you what, it stayed on permanently, never had any problem with looseness. When I first got these grips and test marketed on my bike, I didn't use any Loctite, and it wasn't a pleasant experience to know that my clutch side got a little loose and when I went right around the corner. So the quick remedy was to use a Loctite, which I should have known. If they don't tell you that in the directions, they're very rudimentary, and again, that's why I want to make this video. I outsource these grips. I do not manufacture them on the premises. I do not tool the embossings for this, for one reason. When I tool vegetable tan leather, it's a different ballgame as far as wear goes. You know, you're using these grips every day. These are moisture and water impermeable because they're heat treated, and in fact, they'll stand up to gasoline. I did a test the other day because a guy was asking whether or not he could use my Python emboss, which he had bought grips for. He wanted to use a Python emboss on the fuel tank liner idea that he had. So I tested it with gasoline, doused it, and left it overnight. It dried up. Not a thing wrong with it. I've got that sample in my house right now, but nothing became discolored at all. So it'll work fine for that use as well. That's how well these stand up. I've had my other grips. I just changed these grips out just to have a change of pace. I've had the Sheridan embossed Western style on my bike for a number of years. Actually, the reason I changed is I changed the whole handlebars out, and I had trouble removing my clutch side, and ultimately I got them off, but I opted not to reuse them and to get a new set, and so I just went with the crocodile emboss on these. But nothing, I'm going to reuse those Sheridan emboss and rewrap them for my other project over here. I'm converting that Harley Sportster in the background you see as a hardtail custom. It's got a Springer front end on it, and that I'm going to be starting that project pretty soon. So that'll get my Sheridan embossed grips in the front. But that's basically what I wanted to explain to y'all. And I don't know if I touched base on the other size, the 7/8 size. They're a little bit different. The grips, you're going to have your sleeve, which you want to save because it only comes with the outer grip, but all 7/8 have an inner sleeve that hooks up to your housing, and you just simply pull the grip over that sleeve, and that locks into the housing as well. And so the 7/8 size actually has a 1-inch size throttle side, and it has a 7/8 clutch side. The reason being is the handlebars themselves are 7/8. So when you have an inner sleeve, that's 7/8. So when you have the grip that goes on the outside, it's going to be 1 inch as well. So you'll see that size difference when you order. The tips look a little different than the 1 inch, but they do the same purpose. I have my wrap over it. You can get black or you can get chrome or silver with those, and get any number of embossing types that you prefer in 6 or 7 different colorations at your option. So, but I hope this makes it easier for you to do your own grips. And it's always safe to go with, if you're getting your bike serviced and you come up with the idea and you want to change your grips out, you can't go wrong with the mechanic doing it. But if all you want to do is change out your grips for the time being, it's just as easy. You can most likely do it yourself. And the worst thing really that could happen is you start to do it and you don't feel like you want to move ahead with it. If there are no damage to my grips and you were to order it, you can return them. And the other alternative is if for some reason these grips, they're supposed to be universal, but if they don't fit, it might be because your particular model had an unusual size on the housing. That's happened before. I've actually had a client that loved the grip so much they chose to use a Dremel and just widen the opening because it was a little narrow for the grip, and they love it, and it worked out for them. Most people, I don't think they're willing to do that. So your consideration is to go with your existing grips, and I'll just wrap those. If that's the case, return the pair you bought, or send me your existing grips. I'll cover them, and I'll discount $50 from the overall cost, since I'm doing it to your grips, and that's how that works. So either way, whichever options you choose, I'm just trying to make it easy to get what you really want when you see my grips advertised out there. I've got a lot of them, a lot of different choices, and they're pretty neat additions if you want to customize your bike. So with that, y'all take care and ride safe out there, and you'll see some more videos shortly. Bye-bye.